my womb, trusting the. Hello, and welcome to the Healing Her Story podcast. My name is Riva Jean Paul. I'm a trauma informed somatic practitioner, coach for women, and host for your show. I am almost jumping out of my seat today to have this conversation with you with one of my dear friends and sisters, Amora. Amora is one of the most amazing people I have ever met in my entire life. And this woman has really taught me what true friendship and sisterhood is. And it's been amazing to watch Amora evolve and grow since I've known her for the last few years, maybe 4 years. I think we talked about that not too long ago. And as I've gotten to know Amora, I've had the honor and the privilege of getting to know her son. And as I've gotten to know her son, I've been able to witness how Amora mothers her son and how she shows up for her son. And although I'm not a mom yet, I really do see Amora as one of the women that I inspire to be like when it comes to being a mom, because what she models is just beautiful. And what makes it even more beautiful is how different that is from where Amora came from. Amora comes from a family, and I'll let her share more about it as much as she feels comfortable sharing today. But Amora has had, let's say, a challenging childhood. And through all of that challenge, she has found a way, some way in her heart to shine her light so bright and to be the most loving, supportive, compassionate mother for her son. And I thought, who else would I bring on today to have this conversation of how to be the parent that you never had? I'm going to read Amora's bio and then I'll have Amora share any other words she might like to share before we go into the interview. And I have to say, I'm tearing up just a little bit as, yeah, just reflecting on what a beautiful person Amora is. Amora is a transcendental sound healer. She works with vibrations and unique tones to create deeply healing and transformative experiences. Her music alchemizes spaces, transports people into their highest expressions of self, and brings all closer to their soul's greatest desires. Amora is honored to be of service to humanity in such a beautiful and profound way. Known as a community healer, builder, and connector, she serves the community and many beautiful souls on their journey of healing and transformation. She is the founder of Sound of Love, a renowned heart centered sound healing company with the intention of community connection and self realization through the transformative power in sound. Amora, welcome to the Healing Her Story podcast.
Thank you for having me, Riva. I'm so excited to be here.
Yes, so excited to have you. And I'm wondering, as we're getting started today, if there's anything else you might like to share about yourself before we
Mm.
jump into things.
Hmm. I feel that because of the way that I was raised, it has really helped me to become the person that I am today. Like, of course, like our past, it doesn't define us, but I truly love to give that love to everyone that I meet, in those spaces and places of being of service. I feel that there's an inner child within all of us, and so when we can see and speak to that inner child, it's just so beautiful and powerful. And I'm really honored to be able to do this work and to be of service in such a profound way. Vibrations is very powerful. So
Yeah.
I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Beautifully said. Thanks for sharing that, Amora. And
Mhm.
before we go a little bit into anything you might like to share about what it was like growing up for you, I do want to take a moment to just acknowledge that we're not here today to blame our parents or our caretakers for anything that they did. This is not to vilify anyone, this is not to shame anyone. This is more about recognizing patterns and choosing something different. So, for
Yes.
any parents out there listening, we're not blaming you. We're just talking about some of the opportunities that we have to do something different if that's what we choose to do.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Well, Amora, what was your experience growing up in a family with generation?
Mm. Ooh. So, hmm. So my experience, I honestly don't remember my mother and father being in the same household. Um, for most of the time I did live with my mom, there was a lot of abandonment. Um, there was neglect at times, quite often actually. And I don't say this just as you said before, like we're not saying this to, like dump on the parents or anything. It is us telling our story. And it may be challenging when we tell our story for our parents to hear this, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was that abandonment, that neglect. My older sister actually like pretty much raised us. My mom wasn't available. My father was somewhere else. There were times when both of my parents were on drugs, and that's why my sister had to, raise us, take care of us. She made sure that we ate, showered, got to school, helped us with our homework.
Oh,
And you can only just imagine how that is for a child. It was like she never had a childhood.
yeah,
And so, yeah, it was challenging because when you are a child, you just want your parents, you know?
yeah,
You just want your parents. And so it's it's that feeling of, like, am I good enough? Did I do something wrong? Where's my mom? Where's my dad? And it was challenging. It was challenging, but yeah, that was my experience.
yeah. Thanks so much for sharing and your honesty and your vulnerability. I've noticed just a little bit of tears welling up behind my eyes as you're sharing your story.
Mm.
Yeah, sounds like a lot you had to go through and deal with as a young girl and having your sister
Mhm.
take care of you. How much older was or is your sister than you? I'm just
My
curious.
sister, 30, she's about 4 years, maybe 5 years older than me.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So she did a lot. She did a lot as a child.
Yeah.
And we've recently had conversations about our childhood,
Mhm.
and she told me that before, um, I would say before we all just really went to live with my mom, my father like prepared her. And hey, kitty friend.
She's always got to make an appearance.
Um, but my father prepared her, and taught her how to clean and
Wow.
and how to cook and told her that you're gonna have to step up and take care of your siblings.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. So when she was supposed to be out there hanging out with her friends, riding her bike, going to the park to play with. No, it was her taking care of her siblings.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds so challenging and hard and
Hmm.
like something a child should not have to be dealing with at all.
No, no, but it's interesting because it seems like it happens a lot in like Black and brown communities,
Hmm.
you know,
Yeah,
and
you know.
it's sad. And I wish that there was something that we can do to change it.
Yeah.
But when people don't realize that they are passing down their generational trauma,
Hmm.
they're not going to be available to receive anything because they don't see what is wrong.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if it's been happening for generations, it almost gets normalized.
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a really nice segue into our next question. When did you first realize that you wanted to break these cycles?
Mhm. So before I had my son, and I really feel like it was like when my father passed away. My father passed away, what, 15 years ago. And I said, when I have a child, I hope that I have a son so that I can have a piece of my father here.
Hmm.
And boy, did I get exactly what I asked for because he reminds me so much of my dad. I feel like he is my father reincarnated.
Wow, that would not surprise me at all.
The things that he tells me, like, for
Oh,
instance, I said, I'm tired. I really want to get my rest. And he looks at me and he says, Mom, no one is stopping you from getting your rest. You can rest whenever you want. You just need to learn how to sit down. And I was like,
wow.
who who are you talking to? But he was so right. He was so right. Like, so I'm like, okay, I'm learning how to sit. And sometimes I just don't need to do anything. Okay?
Wow. Wow. Yeah, Josiah is a really special kid, and it would make sense to me if your father was reincarnated inside of him because he does not act like your average 11-year-old.
No, I call him grandfather, and he does not like it, but he does act like a grandfather.
Oh, so it sounds like before you even had Josiah, you were already thinking about, okay, like I want something different than what I experienced.
Yes. So I did not want my child to grow up and experience anything that I did.
Yeah.
And so I knew that it was going to be challenging, right? Because it was normal to be absent. It's like the parent's there, but the parent is not available, or
Yeah.
you're just not there,
Right.
or there's always something else that's more important than you.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I made that decision years before I had him.
Wow. Yeah. That's amazing at such a young age. You were already kind of coming to that understanding.
Yes, because I witnessed in my family how the generational trauma was passed down. And
Mm,
so actually it was way before my father even passed away.
mm,
But see how different ones would talk to their kids, and it was like they did not respect their children.
mhm,
And there was a specific individual to where every time he would speak to his children,
mhm.
it would be in a disrespectful way, or like you're like belittling them or making them feel small, and they're literally just children. Until this day, their mental, like I try to speak life into them,
Mhm.
and their minds are very pessimistic
Yep.
because that's how they grew up,
Yep.
you know?
Hmm.
And so even with that, I said, yeah, no, not my child.
Mm.
No, I'm going to speak life into him, to her.
Mm.
And that's exactly what I do.
Yeah, you do.
Not saying I'm a perfect parent, but I'm damn sure better than my parents,
Yeah.
you know? And at the same time, it's like, remembering that our parents, they did the best that they could at that time.
Hmm. Yes, absolutely. With the tools and the
With
understanding and the
the,
resources that they had.
that right there, Ashe.
Hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. I do also want to name and just acknowledge because I know you've mentioned that you see this more in Black and brown families that there are greater systemic issues in place that don't necessarily make it easier for Black
Yeah.
and brown families to show up as a fully present, compassionate, loving caretaker. And while it doesn't dismiss or make it okay, it does kind of just give us a bit of an understanding how much that Black and brown parents really do have to try to overcome to be a fully present and connected parent.
It's interesting because I work at a school
Hmm.
and I see that there are a lot of children who they don't feel loved
Yeah.
and cared for
Hmm.
because of the actions that they show.
Hmm.
And the reason why I can say that is because that was me as a child, except for I didn't have I didn't have the space to act out because I probably would have been beat.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I didn't act out in that way. I waited until my teen years to act out. That's like the rebellion. Like at that time, it's like, I don't give a fuck. By that time, right?
Yeah, me too.
But you're right. It's like it does not make it easy for us when you think about a single parent. We literally just had this conversation in class today, and we talked about how moms are superheroes.
Hmm.
And we're currently practicing for our community sound healing, where we invite the family and friends and things to join us.
Hmm.
And one little girl, she says, my mom would really love this because she's really tired and
Oh,
she works a lot.
oh,
And another little girl said, my mom works a lot too. She would love this. And another one says, my mom works two jobs and
oh,
she's always tired. And
oh.
I said, your moms are superheroes.
Mm.
And then they said, oh, so that means that you're a superhero too because you have a son. And
Oh.
my assistant, she was like, let's go ahead and give her some claps. But
Oh,
yeah, it's like it's not easy.
no.
Like you work these two jobs
Yep.
and then you're trying to have that quality time with your kids, make sure that they're clothed and fed, the house is clean. It's I'm telling you, being a parent is the real job.
Mm,
That's the real job.
mm.
And it doesn't matter what else you do. Being a parent, it doesn't stop.
It doesn't. No. There's no breaks, no vacation.
I mean, hey, you can go on vacation, but even while you're on vacation,
Mhm.
you're thinking about your kids.
Right. Yeah. Hmm.
You're thinking about your kids. And on top of that, I feel like parents need to have at least one day of flow. I call flows weeks or weeks flows. So once a flow, I feel like each parent, they need a day to themselves so that they can reset.
Yes.
Parents need to reset.
Yes, absolutely.
Whew. So if you're a parent out there, make sure you get that day to yourself so you can reset.
Yes. Yeah, such a great invitation for all the parents listening to really take that time to fill your own cup so that you can show up as the parent that you want to
Yeah.
show up as. Because in addition to the systemic issues that we're all living in, that cause us to be tired and, having to work two jobs and making it more difficult. If we're unwell on top of that, whether it be mentally or physically or
Yeah.
spiritually or emotionally, then now you have something else that you have to try to overcome to show up. And so if we can come full and rested, maybe not as
Mhm.
rested and as full as we maybe like to be, but as close as we maybe can,
Yeah.
then we're going to have more resource and more capacity to even think about showing up as that
Mhm.
parent.
Yes. It's like it's mandatory to fill your cup
Yeah,
because if you don't, you will become more short with your children.
absolutely.
And it is not their fault that you did not choose to
Mm,
take care of yourself.
yeah.
So you know how you get on the plane, right? And they say,
Yeah.
put on your oxygen mask first. Is that an oxygen mask?
It is. Yeah, you got
Put
it.
on that oxygen mask first, and then take care of your child.
Hmm.
You have to get to the point to where you fill your cup because you cannot keep giving
Hmm.
from an empty vessel.
Right. Yeah.
Giving as you are depleted, nobody's getting the best of you.
Right.
And your children deserve to get the best of you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're watching you.
They are watching. Yeah. And at that
Yeah.
age, our brains are still forming and we learn through, like you said, through watching. And so whatever you're doing or whatever parents are doing, caretakers, the adults around, kids
Yes.
are just soaking it all up. And so if we want our kids to be and act in certain a way, then the
Yes.
best thing that we can do is really model that to them through our own behavior because that's how they really learn.
That is right.
Yeah. It reminds me of a day, because I also work in schools, as you know, a day in class where one of the teachers, and I won't say the school or the teacher name, but she had said to the children who were in second grade, they were being a little talkative and maybe not getting quiet as quickly as I was asking them to. I'm very, very, very patient with my littles, especially if they're um not listening, whatever that means, right? Because they are kind of listening. They're just maybe kind of doing their own thing, or maybe there's things going on inside of them that make it hard to do what you're asking
Yes.
them to do. So, trying to get the group together, and the teacher interjects and she says to the kids, second graders, "You are draining my cup."
Whoa.
Yeah. To third graders, "You are draining my cup or my bucket or whatever yeah, I think it was bucket. You're draining my bucket." And I was like, that is not their concern. Like, they
No,
don't
no.
need to know about where your bucket is at. Like, that's not their job to worry about filling your bucket. That's a you thing.
Well, so that is so even if you don't have kids and you work with kids,
Yeah.
you need to take care of yourself. I mean,
Yes.
everyone needs to take care of themselves, but especially if you work with kids,
Yes.
you should take care of yourself. You
Yeah.
need to take care of yourself. And that right there is a perfect example of why.
Hmm.
That's something that should not be said to kids.
No. No. Yeah. It's really interesting. I know you and I've had so many discussions about the public schools, and maybe we could go more in depth another day.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's kind of get back to the next question here. I love that little sidebar that we did. I think it feeds into everything so nicely. What would you say were some of the biggest challenges in choosing a different way? And maybe we've already kind of named a few
Mm,
here with the systemic issues and maybe not taking care of yourself. Are there any other
mhm.
challenges that you can think of?
Yeah. Hmm. Can you repeat that one more time? Let me listen to that
Yes, of
again.
course.
Mhm.
So when you first realized you wanted to break the cycle and you started breaking
Mhm.
these cycles, what were some of the biggest challenges in choosing a different way?
Mhm. The biggest challenge, I will give an example. So growing up, we would get
Yeah.
whooped with pretty much anything.
Mm,
And I remember Josiah was probably about 2 years old. I don't remember what he did, but I remember my reaction being to whoop him.
mm,
And after I did it,
mhm,
I said, and at this time I was not on my journey of awakening, was
mhm.
not. And I said, oh, I don't like the way that feels in my body.
Yeah.
And then I thought about when my father last whooped me.
Mhm.
And I had this hatred towards him to where I did not speak to him for 3 years.
Wow.
And I thought about how my reaction was when my father whooped me.
Mhm.
And I said, I don't want my child to feel like that and hate me and not want to talk to me.
Yeah.
So it was challenging because it was that push and pull of like, this is how I was raised, but this doesn't feel right in my body.
Yeah.
But I have to find another way to discipline him.
Mm.
And then I realized that you can actually accomplish a lot when you talk to your child.
Yeah.
Yes, at that age, like they don't fully understand, but the repetition of it,
Mhm.
and eventually he did catch on.
Yeah.
But we have to pay attention to how we feel in our body.
Mm.
Because yes, you can feel that what is that adrenaline coming up, right? Whenever they do something that's triggering to you, but you got to be grounded and centered enough to where you can say, okay, this is not okay. And you have the power to make that decision with just as fast as that feeling comes on.
Mhm.
When we talk about that sacred pause, remember that sacred pause?
Yep.
There's power in the pause,
Yes.
and especially as a parent.
Yes.
So yes, it was challenging, but and I mean, there's even like even now, like I most definitely I don't put my hands on my son, but there's times when I catch myself if I'm angry or frustrated, and I don't pause,
Mhm.
but then yet I always go to him and I apologize if I know
Mhm.
that I'm wrong and my body is going to tell me
Mhm.
I apologize.
Mm.
And you want to know something? Now he does the same thing. If he knows that he's wrong, he will come to me and apologize.
Oh, wow. That's such a valuable lesson that you can model and teach to your son because really there's a I forget where I read this from, but we're only able to be correctly attuned to someone, to a child or, to a partner of any kind, only about 30% of the time are we accurate.
Mm,
Are we meeting the person with what they're feeling and we're matching their energy and their emotions in the right way where they feel seen and heard and understood only about 30% of the time. And the
mm,
rest of the
yeah.
time, we are misattuned. And what really, what it's really about is the repair, which is what you just named here. It's about acknowledging like, oh, wow, okay, I messed up. And then being vulnerable enough and courageous enough to then go to, and in your case, your son, who is much younger than you by decades, and admit to a child as an adult that you fucked up and
Yeah.
apologize. That's truly amazing, Amora. It really is. I don't know if you understand how impactful that is. As an
Mhm.
adult, and I'm not even going to get into my childhood or anything specific here, but I don't know. I think maybe my parent has either one of my parents has maybe apologized to me maybe once or twice, and I'm an adult. And there's been plenty of opportunities for apology.
Yeah.
So,
It's
yeah, that
the it,
really blows
it's
me
the
away.
ego.
Yes, yes. Yeah, because you don't want to be wrong.
And especially to a child, like I was in a conversation with somebody and they were talking to their kid in a way that I had to turn my head like, you're talking to a child like that? And I let them know what I do with Josiah
Yeah.
and how if I'm wrong, I apologize, which is, quite often. Most of the time. And they said, I don't have to apologize to a child. They're a child.
Wow.
And I said, well, they're not going to be a child forever. And you're teaching them how to react.
Yeah.
And so, how do you think that they're going to handle things? And instead of being able to see yourself and choose to not be a reactive person,
Mhm.
or if you do catch yourself being a reactive person, you admit you're wrong
Yeah.
because they're going to be an adult one day.
Mhm. Yeah. Wow. That's so powerful in so many ways. And I'm really, I guess maybe excited and curious to see kind of like the ripple effect that you have created in
Mhm.
the generations to come in your family, however they, may or may not unfold. But to pass that lesson down to Josiah and to see how that really affects him and shapes him
Yeah.
as an adult.
Mhm.
I have a
Okay.
lot of confidence in Josiah's adult version of himself.
Yes, me too.
Yeah,
Me
he's
too.
going to be great. Well, that's a perfect segue into our next question. Love how we're doing this. How did your relationship change with Josiah as you began healing?
Mm. I would say that it changed in the sense of me being more present and more aware.
Mhm.
And I got into meditation and he would see me meditating and he would want to meditate with me and crystals and things until he would pick out his favorite crystal. And then like when my energy was all, he would say, Mom, you need to meditate. Have you meditated today? I'll be like, you're right. But it really helped because like we started to like sync up,
Mhm.
And rather than it me being up here and he's down here, it's like we were like on this wavelength with each other, you
Yeah.
know? Yeah, yeah. So it's more of a understanding and like rather than it being like me talking at him, I'm talking to him and I'm
Mhm.
giving him the respect. And that was something that I did not have as a child. And so even with that, of Josiah younger years, my mom, she would say, oh, you need to whoop him. He shouldn't talk like that. I said, he shouldn't talk like that because I gave him space for him to speak his truth. And
Mm-hmm.
I told him, I don't care who it is, you always speak your truth, even if it's to me. Sometimes it's challenging for me. But you
Yeah.
know what I say? I'm really proud of you.
Mm-hmm.
I am proud of you for speaking your truth. I know it's a hard time right now, but you said it.
Mm-hmm.
You said it, and I'm proud of you.
Mm-hmm. That's so
So yeah,
touching. Yeah.
yeah, I do. I'm so proud of him.
Yeah.
Mm,
Oh, yeah. It just makes me so, I just feel so touched hearing that. Um,
yeah,
yeah, it's really beautiful because so many people as adults don't speak their truth. They're afraid to speak up and
yep,
to say what's really on their heart and say what's on their mind. And this is a little off topic, but not too off topic. I'm thinking about the art class, a children in art class that I'm taking right now, and how when children are making art, we condition them that it's not good or it's a waste of time or whatever. But at a very early age, without even really understanding the consequences of what we're doing, we shut down voices and creativity and expression. And these adults go up to be anxious,
yep.
depressed, and it really does, it really does affect and shape us as adults. So, yeah, again, just really excited to see Josiah as an adult.
And I really I water his expression of his art
You
of
do. You really do.
acting, of drawing, of
Yeah.
dancing, of singing, and like he'll get random items from around the house and take everything into his room. And I'm like, where's my chairs? Where's my tables? And rather than me like say how my parents probably would have said, where's my chairs? Bring this stuff back in here. Like it was always like, yo, anxiety, right?
Yeah.
But instead it's like, I know what he's doing when he's in here, boom, boom, boom. He's in here getting it out, okay?
Oh, yeah.
He's sweating it out. Oh, he put lights on the walls.
Oh.
He makes his own costumes and stuff. Like it's like really, really nurture that
Yes.
because he's gonna be an adult one day,
Hmm.
and he will not experience what I did.
Yeah.
I will make sure that he does not grow up being anxious and not having a voice
Yeah.
because he didn't feel safe to speak
Mm.
his truth.
Yeah. Mm. Just admiring you more and more as we go through this, all these questions today. Well, let's shift a little bit. Let's talk about the reparenting journey. I know you and I have talked about this many of times,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm curious for those of us who have grew up with critical, absent, or emotionally unavailable parents that tend to be hard on ourselves.
Yeah.
How did you start treating yourself with more compassion?
I would say that it began for me. I had a spiritual mentor, and she helped me with a lot of shadow work, which was a lot of my inner child wounds.
Hmm.
And one thing that I learned that was very simple, yet, well, actually, it wasn't so simple, and that was my self talk. It is simple when you are available to do the work, should I
Yeah.
say.
Hmm.
Like when you're really like tired of your own mess, that's when you will make that shift.
Hmm.
And so it was the self-talk for me. When I would make mistakes, I would say, "Oh, you're so stupid. Why would you do that?"
Yeah.
But then I learned that, wait a minute, nobody else is speaking to me like this but me.
Mm-hmm.
And how does that feel when you speak to yourself? And so that that self-awareness
Mm-hmm.
of, oh, okay, there's a child within me, and I need to speak to this child the way that I would speak to my son, the way that I would speak to my nephew.
Mm-hmm.
That that's what I need to do. And so I started to speak to her like that, and it really shifted my life.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm curious, did you find yourself being more compassionate with
Mhm.
Josiah first, and then you started being more compassionate to yourself, or was it the other way around?
Well, I
Both.
feel in the beginning of my parenting journey, because I didn't have that love as a child, it was like, I mean, is there a such thing if you like loving your child too much? Because it was like I loved him so much, I wanted to inhale him. So, like, I just wanted to just keep him right here. So,
Mhm.
of course, like the baby stages and things, like it was good, right? But it was like when he started to develop his own personality,
Right.
is
Yeah.
when it became challenging.
Okay.
And so it was me having the compassion for him first
Hmm.
and not liking what I had, the way I was feeling in my body.
Hmm.
And then years down, not too many years, a couple years down the road, that's when I learned about the self-talk.
Okay.
And that just shifted my life.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I just did an episode recently. I'm kind of losing track of this is my second one I'm recording today of like when it aired. I think it aired today. There we go at the day time when we're recording this. It's the episode's titled How to Have an Excellent Relationship with Yourself. And that was what I talked about too, was
Mm,
self-talk. And I was working with a therapist who just asked me like, how do you talk to yourself? And I was like, oh, wow, yeah, I'm not talking very nicely to myself.
yep.
Hmm. Yeah. And
It
that changed
changed
a
my
lot for
life.
me. Yeah, it changed a
Hmm.
lot for me too. Yeah. Well, I'm curious, what has been the most healing thing for your inner child?
Mm. I I would say that the most healing for me was going back to those spaces in time in meditation where things happened to me that I had no control over,
Hmm.
and choosing to shift what happened,
Hmm.
like me using my voice. So
Hmm.
when I was a child, I was molested.
Hmm.
And when it first happened, or when it happened, period, I never used my voice.
Yeah.
And then I went into meditation one day, and mind you, like I've done so much inner child work, but this very particular day, I had no intentions on doing the inner child work.
Hmm.
But I was taken to the house. I was standing right in front of the house of where this happened.
Hmm.
And next slide, I'm inside the house and in the situation with this person. And I used my voice and I said, no, stop. I yelled it, right?
Yes.
And so that's why I grew up with my throat chakra blocked.
Mm.
I've been in many situations that I did not say anything about. I didn't try to, or, well, yes, there was a time when I didn't even say anything like no, because I was just in freeze mode, you know?
Which is makes sense.
Yes.
Hmm.
And so when I started to work on my throat chakra and to use my voice to say no, and then he stopped.
Mm.
And if I don't tell you from that meditation, oh my goodness. Talking about energy on 10, energy on 1,000. Okay. And it's really helped me so that I can learn how to, speak my boundaries, you know?
I do know.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
hope I answered the question. Did I answer the question?
you did. Yeah, you perfectly I guess, explained a way in which someone might go about repatterning some of these early childhood experiences or reshaping some of these early childhood experiences. And I've myself done that in various situations, or rather for various situations in my childhood with a somatic therapist. And that's what we would
Mhm.
do. We would go back to these really key moments and we would create a different I don't know if outcome is the
Awesome.
word, but a
Mhm.
different response. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I can think of one in my mind right now, and maybe I'll share it for another day so we don't get too far down the rabbit hole of childhood stories because I
Right,
know we
girl,
both got a lot.
that can be real fast. But I
Part
think that's
two.
amazing that you did that in therapy.
Yep.
And
Mhm.
it was like, I never even heard about this before.
Yeah.
It was just something that just happened,
That's amazing.
you know?
Yeah, that's amazing. It sounds like you were
Mhm.
really tapped into your inner healing intelligence and it took you right where it needed to take you, as it does when we allow
Yeah,
ourselves to open up to it and trust it.
yeah. I know it's not easy.
No.
It is, and because everybody's story is different,
Hmm.
and there are a lot of scary things that happen to people, so they don't want to
Yeah.
go back to these experiences. But what I've learned is that yes, it is challenging and it does hurt,
Hmm.
but you know the saying, you gotta feel it to heal it. It's
Yep.
true. You really gotta feel it. Let that shit out of your body. Let
Yeah.
it out. It's not serving you.
Right.
So yes, I've had those times, and I'm curled up, just having that real deep, ugly cry.
Yeah.
You, it's heavy. It's heavy.
Yes. Yeah.
But guess what? It does not last long. It is a very short time. And what you gain from that in return is
Hmm.
priceless. Okay?
Yeah, well worth the time and the discomfort
Mm,
in my experience.
yes.
It sounds like
Yes.
in yours too.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, how do you balance reparenting yourself while
Mm,
also actively parenting your son?
you know, that is a really good question. Because wow, wow. And it's even deeper than that for me because I work in the school as well.
Yeah,
And so what I was not prepared for was that when I entered the school, there were going to be inner child things that came up
yeah,
to be moved through.
yeah.
And that was very mind blowing, but very, very powerful.
Hmm.
Um, but I feel that me taking time to allow my inner child to express herself
Hmm.
is what's been very helpful to me. So that could be with me doing an activity with Josiah,
Hmm.
us going somewhere, and me not being so serious because I'm an adult.
Hmm.
like allow myself to play with him.
Yes.
Sometimes she wants to color, sometimes she wants to dance.
Yeah.
But just because we are adults doesn't mean that our inner child is still not there wanting to dance and sing and, or be an artist or clothing designer or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like we have to let them know that it's okay. It is safe for you to be seen, for you to be felt, for you to be witnessed.
Hmm.
And so I allow myself to play with Josiah. I allow myself to be in my silence and my solitude. Sometimes I think that I'm just going in for a meditation or I'm just being in my flow. And then something really big will come up and I'll have to like dive deep,
Yeah.
And it's very unexpected, but yet it's exactly what I need.
Yeah. I love
Yeah.
what you named about playing with Josiah. That's wonderful. And I've gone on day excursions with you two before. We had a wonderful time. My inner child came out.
Right.
Yeah.
It's never a dull moment with Josiah. Like I really appreciate him because he really helps like one of those times when I'm serious. Like, Mom, don't be so serious. You gotta, he's like, Mom, you gotta trust the process. You're not trusting the process. And there I am, like, you're right. I look like this, but I'm like, you're right.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Mm,
Well, I have to
God.
say, he's your son, and so he's obviously just how we can learn the being critical and the being the judgmental and being all
Mhm.
these other things, we can also learn how to be wise and intuitive and authentic. And it sounds like you've really done that successfully with Josiah.
When he was a baby, I didn't do the goo goo gaga gaga talk with him. Like, I
Yeah.
would talk how we talk in our, like, when we get real deep,
Yep.
that's how I would talk to him.
Hmm.
So when I would have all these profound downloads and messages, like I would tell him about it. He
That's
was my
amazing.
best friend.
Yeah.
And
Oh.
now he talks like an adult.
Yeah. Yes. It's really
But
cool. I love talking to Josiah. He's got some
you
shit
know
to
what?
say.
The adults, the adults are always like, man, he's so cool.
Yeah.
Like 11-year-old kid.
Amazing. Well, let's transition kind of into the last part of the episode where we talk a little bit about practical tools and things that
Mhm.
maybe people can do to start reparenting themselves and to start learning how to maybe be that parent that they never had. So you've mentioned meditation. Are there any other daily practices that have supported you through your healing process?
Um, I would say remember what you like to do as a child.
Mm-hmm.
If you like to color with crayons or draw with crayons on the floor, set yourself up. You like to go to the park, you have some nieces or nephews, take them to the park and play,
Mm-hmm.
you know? Allow them to come out and to shine. Maybe you were a kid and you like to sing and someone told you you can't sing, so you stopped.
Right.
Let them come out and sing. And
Mhm.
it does not have to just be in the shower, okay?
And it doesn't
Yeah.
have to be quote unquote good, right? It
And it
can
doesn't have to
be,
be right.
yeah, express just to express.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. But yeah, just let them come out and play.
I love that.
Let them come out and play. And remember the way you talk to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very important.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to yourself, to your inner child. If you have a child, like you would talk to your child.
Hmm.
And maybe if it's not your child, maybe your relationship is a little different with your child. How would you talk to your niece or your nephew?
Hmm. Yeah. Or I sometimes I say your best friend, right?
Yeah, there we go. Your best friend.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yep.
I love that. All really wonderful invitations.
hmm And also those little wins. I'm so proud of you. You did amazing. You go, girl. You know,
Yes.
and celebrate like with a popsicle or something, with the cookie, you know?
Yeah. I love,
Yeah.
yeah. I've not that I've ever been anti celebrating myself or anything. I've
Mhm.
leaned into it more as I've been on my healing journey. And you are someone who's really like I don't know, I guess just in some roundabout way of, spending so much time with you and talking to you, I've like,
Mhm.
have those celebratory moments myself a little bit more. And yeah, I just want to thank you for that.
Yes, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, how has sound healing supported your nervous system
Mm.
and your emotional well-being? We haven't talked much about sound today, and
Mm.
maybe we can do another
Yes.
episode another day, but
Yes. So I feel that sound healing, it really brings you into this space of peace.
mm,
And it's like the more open and available you are to receive, the more you will receive from the experience.
mm,
And when you allow yourself to let the vibrations move out that stuck and stagnant energy in your body, like you'd say, "Oh, I feel like this pressure in my heart. I feel like something moving in my heart space." Really allow yourself to receive because sometimes it's not always easy for people to go to therapy
right,
or let it out of their body and dance or play or whatever.
right,
It's not always that easy.
right. You're so
And
right.
so by attending a sound bath, a sound healing, a sound journey, it really brings you into like the present moment. And as you set your intention of, I want to let go of the stagnant energy from my childhood,
Yeah.
you'll be very surprised of what you could experience from being in a sound journey. And also be very mindful of the person's energy that you receive from.
Mm, yeah.
Even if you go and you're like, something's off, but I paid my money, so I'm gonna stay. You might want to think twice about that
Yeah.
because when someone is offering you sound healing, I feel that they're sharing their heart song with you.
Mm, mm,
And just because people are quote unquote healers, um, you just need to be mindful of who you receive from because you're receiving their energy.
yes.
And so just make sure that you feel safe, that you feel like it's a really safe space so that you can
Mm,
be open and vulnerable to receive
yeah.
and to let go of what no longer serves you.
Yeah. That's a really great point that you've named here because these are such deep and painful and vulnerable wounds inside of ourselves. And we want to make sure that whatever we're doing, whether it's therapy or sound healing or dance or
Yeah.
expression, that we are in an environment where we feel safe enough to do so.
hmm
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, sound is such an incredible tool and resource. And I really like what you mentioned about it not necessarily being easy for some people to go to therapy or to outwardly express themselves in some way, and sound healing being like a more accessible way that people can start to do that deeper work without
Yes.
having to, outwardly sing or dance
Mhm.
or go sit face to someone. There's a lot of work that you can do on your own just through vibrations. I mean, everything is vibrations. We are vibrations, and we can even be
Mhm.
our own sound healer in this way, toning,
Oh yeah.
singing,
I mean, hmm
humming, yeah,
hmm and
yeah.
I will say that I also know that it's not easy for a lot of people to feel comfortable to close their eyes
Yeah,
in a sound healing.
yeah.
And so that is why, like, really feel into the energy of the person. Like, the first thing that comes to your mind, if it's, oh, I feel at home, or, ooh, pay attention to that.
Yes,
But yeah, because it's darkness when you close your eyes,
yes.
and some of us have a lot of darkness, but that's where you find yourself is in your darkness.
Hmm.
Yeah. So just, you know, allow yourself to be held and make sure that the person that is holding you in that space feels safe so
Hmm.
that you can feel safe to close your eyes and to journey within your darkness to find your light.
Mm.
And there's so much light in there too, by the way.
Mm.
Mm.
That was very beautifully said.
Thank you.
Yes. Well, you've already kind of named a few things here, but are there any other things that people might be able to start incorporating, specifically like sound or meditation or anything else that they might be, yeah, able to incorporate?
I mean, like I said before, the fastest thing, the easiest thing that you can do is to allow your inner child to play. A lot of us like to do the coloring,
Mhm.
the video games,
Yeah.
do stuff like that.
Yeah.
Do stuff like that. If you and also like play dates.
Mm.
You can literally create a play date with your friends. Oh, hey, like let's go to the roller rink or something, to the skating rink. I don't know about y'all, but in Sacramento, the skating rink was the spot, okay? And so whenever I go there, it's like nostalgia, girl.
Yeah, totally.
So yeah, I mean, just, even if it's not you singing or dancing or something, even if it's drawing, if you love to draw as a kid.
Yeah.
Like these are very simple things that you can do.
Yes.
And I also know that meditation is not that easy for people either. And
Yeah.
so what you can do is get on YouTube. Like there's so many amazing meditations, guided meditations to
Mhm.
connect with your inner child. Do you know that you can have a deep dive in 5 minutes?
Yes, I've had one with you before, and I use many guided meditations. It's a big part of my healing process is the guided
Yes,
meditations, especially if I can't go to therapy, whether it's just like
that's
life is
right.
full or it's just not my budget that month. I talk about Insight Timer a lot here because I'm a teacher on Insight Timer, and I meditate on Insight Timer too, pretty much every day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's so
Mm-hmm.
many resources out there when we just take the time to find them.
Yeah.
Like they're there for
I
you.
mean, and I know there's a lot of things that can, I guess, potentially like be in your way or not even that. There's a lot of excuses
Mm,
that people use. Oh, I don't have enough time to do that. I don't have time to do that.
yeah,
What time do you spend scrolling on your phone on
there
Instagram,
we
TikTok, Facebook,
go. Yep,
Twitter?
yep,
Nobody's in your way.
yep.
Nothing or no one is in your way.
Mhm,
Nothing is blocking you
mhm,
from you having the life that you want.
mm,
If you are tired of having different patterns show up in relationships, in any kind of relationship, then choose to do the work. It usually comes from a childhood wound.
yep.
So, a lot of the shadow work is from inner child wounds.
Mm,
And you don't need anyone to help you.
Hmm.
Yes, there are many people who are out there who can help you,
Hmm.
but when you think about it, we're really just space holders.
Oh,
And
yeah, absolutely.
you're the one who does the work. We create those
Yes.
safe and sacred spaces
Yep.
for you.
Hmm.
Yes, we may help you get to the bridge. We
Hmm.
may walk you there visually to get to the bridge,
Hmm.
but you're the one who has to do the movement with your feet. You're
Hmm.
the one who has to go back to those spaces and places and times and do that inner work. We can't go in there and do that work for you.
Yep.
It's your deep dive.
Yes. Yeah. Beautifully said again.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
So
absolutely right.
remember, when you're tired of your own shit, you will make the necessary changes
Mm.
to have the life that you want. And I don't completely know what's going on with the world right now on the planet and the stars, but what I do know is that this is a great fucking time to be alive. This
Yes.
is an amazing time to be alive.
Yeah.
This is an amazing time for you to do that inner child work, for you
Mm.
to manifest your best life,
Mm.
despite what they are showing you on the news
Yeah.
and in social media.
Yeah.
This is an amazing time to be alive. And it will be exactly what you want it to be.
Mm.
If you think that it's rainbows and butterflies and oh my goodness, my life is getting my life is amazing and I'm so excited for what's to come and I'm meeting all these amazing people and you're just putting all this energy out, it's going to be that. Not saying that it's always going to feel like that, but as long as you keep your focus there, but if you think, oh my goodness, the world's about to end, they're about to be World War III, oh my goodness, that's going to be your reality. So you have the power to create your own reality. The power lies within your tongue. So are you casting spells over yourself by the words that you speak,
Mm.
even with the talk that how you talk to your inner child?
Hmm. Yeah.
It's just like a compressor. Every time you talk to the inner child, it's bad. It's like those negative words, like "you're so
Mm.
dumb, you're so stupid," and
Yeah.
you feel it in your body.
Yeah.
So you have the power to pull yourself out of the mud.
Mm.
Yes, there's many people who can help you, and if you feel like you need help, I highly recommend getting some assistance.
Yeah.
But you have to be the one to say, "Hey, I'm ready to get out of my own way
Hmm.
and do what you need to do." Period.
Yeah. Absolutely right. I love just listening to you go. That was really beautiful. Like, wow, she's going right now. Love that. Well, Amora, though that felt like some very powerful closing words to me, but are there any other closing words that you
Mm,
might want to offer here?
mm, mm. I would say that there's no one coming to save you,
Hmm.
that it is you, and that it is you that you've been waiting for and searching for this whole time. It's no one or nothing outside of you. It's you. And so when you can become best friends with your body
Mm.
and with your inner child and
Mhm.
learn how to reset your nervous system
Mhm.
and really come home to your center,
Mhm.
there's literally nothing that you can't do. I
Mhm.
know it sounds like a lot, but it's a lot to stay in a life that you don't like.
Mm.
It's a lot to stay in a relationship that you don't like, in a job that you don't like.
Yeah.
It's a lot. So you can choose today to be that parent that you wish you had.
Mm.
You can. And it's very rewarding. And
Mhm.
if you have kids, you can choose to be that parent that you wish you had. Not saying it's always going to be easy,
Right.
but it's worth it.
Yeah.
It's worth it. And talk to your children
Mm.
like how you would talk to your brother or your sister.
Mhm.
like you would keep it real with them, you know,
Yep.
keep it real with your kids. I know their kids, they're not going to be kids forever. Yeah.
Hmm. Wonderful closing words for today. And Amora, if people want to connect with you or learn more about your work, where can people find you?
Mm. So you can find me on Instagram at Sound of Love 888. And you can email me at soundoflovellc@gmail.com.
Wonderful. We'll put all of that in the show notes for listeners to connect with you if they like. Thanks so much for everyone who's tuned in today. If there is someone in your life who you feel like could benefit from this conversation, we invite you to share your takeaway from today's show and to share today's episode with a friend so that we collectively can continue um, slowly and surely breaking these cycles so that we can create a world with more harmony, more compassion, more gentleness, more understanding. And as we do that, we can bring more harmony and more balance to our patriarchal world that we live in. So we would greatly appreciate you helping us spread this message today, and we very much look forward to connecting with you on the next episode. In the meantime, take care of yourself and take care of each other. Clearing the pain from your womb, creating new life from your womb, rebuilding with the phases of the moon.